Hello everyone, I am Sachin Kumawat and today we will discuss the concept of the chapter Federalism. Federalism is very much related with its previous chapter Power Sharing, where you had learned about various forms of power sharing. One such form was the vertical division of power, means the vertical form of power sharing. Now what is vertical division of power? When the power is divided among the different level of government, it is called as the vertical division of power, or we can simply say that when the central government shares its power with the state government, it is called as the vertical division of power, and this is known as federalism. In this chapter, we will discuss federalism in its general terms by referring the power sharing model of the Belgium and Sri Lanka. Then we will discuss the key feature of federalism by an imaginary story of two brothers Ramesh and Suresh. Then we will discuss how federalism is achieved, means what are the two ways or the two routes by which federal countries are formed. First is the coming together federation and the second one is the holding together federation. Then we will discuss what makes India a federal country, where here we had to learn threefold distribution of legislative power, means the concept of union list, state list and concurrent list. Then Indian federalism, how Indian federalism is basic to its structure of Indian constitution. Then the role of Indian judiciary to protect the constitution and to resolve the federal issues. Then we will discuss why India is called a quasi-federal country, and at last we will discuss the concept of decentralization in India, means we will discuss about the local government. So let's start the chapter by discussing federalism in general terms. For this we will refer the power sharing model of Belgium and Sri Lanka. In the Belgium model, you had learned that the constitution was amended 4 times to recognize the linguistic diversity and to solve the regional issues. So these amendments reduce the power of the central government and given power to the state government, means the regional government. But it is not like that the state government do not have power before this amendment. They had their powers, okay, and their responsibilities also, but the state government, means the regional government, were working as a subordinate under the central government. So we can say that such powers can be taken by the central government anytime. So these amendments make the regional government powerful, means the regional government were given constitutionally guaranteed powers. Such constitutionally guaranteed powers make the regional government independent, means they were no longer dependent on the central government. So in this way, by this constitutional amendment, Belgium tries to become a federal system from a unitary system. But in Sri Lanka, we had seen that there was no regional government, means all the function were being done by the national government, right? Means there were no regional government, all the powers and all the work is being done by the central government. But in Sri Lanka, there was no regional government, means all the powers were in the hand of one single government, and that is national government, that is central government. So we can say that Sri Lanka was a unitary system with no regional government. मतलब बेल्जियम में स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हुआ करती थी, उनके पास पावर्स भी थी, बट वो पावर्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली गारंटीड पावर्स नहीं थी, इसलिए रीजनल गवर्नमेंट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के अंडर में ही काम किया करती थी, मतलब वो उनकी सबऑर्डिनेट थी. बट एक बार कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट होने के बाद में स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को, मतलब रीजनल गवर्नमेंट को कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली गारंटीड पावर्स दी गई, जिससे कि उनकी डिपेंडेंसी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पे पूरी तरह खत्म हो गई, और इस तरीके से जो बेल्जियम था वो एक यूनिटरी सिस्टम से फेडरल सिस्टम बन गया था. बट श्रीलंका में तो रीजनल गवर्नमेंट थी ही नहीं, सारा के सारा जो काम है और सारी की सारी जो पावर्स है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ही गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में हुआ करती थी, जो कि वहां की सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट थी. So, after having the understanding of the Belgium model and Sri Lankan model, we can come to the definition of federalism. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and the different constituent units of the country. In simple terms, we can say that there should be at least 2 levels of government, the government at the national level and the government at the state level, and both the government should enjoy their power independent to each other. The government which is at the national level is called as the central government, and in India it is called as the union government, which is responsible for the subject of the common national importance. whereas there would be a provincial level of government which is also called as regional government, provincial government and state government. This state government is responsible for the administration of day-to-day life in the states. Now remember my point that in a federal system means in a federal system where power is being shared between the central and state government, if the central government is sharing the power in a federal system, then in a federal system this union government, this central government is also called as federal government, right? So what we had done, क्या पढ़ा हमने, that एक फेडरल सिस्टम में मिनिमम 2 लेवल पे गवर्नमेंट होगी और दोनों के पास अपनी अपनी इंडिपेंडेंट पावर्स होगी। एक नेशनल लेवल पर गवर्नमेंट होगी, एक स्टेट लेवल पर गवर्नमेंट होगी। नेशनल लेवल गवर्नमेंट नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस से रिलेटेड जो सब्जेक्ट है उनको डील करेगी और जो स्टेट लेवल की गवर्नमेंट है वो स्टेट लेवल के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को ध्यान में रखेगी, राइट। और अगर फेडरल सिस्टम है तो फेडरल सिस्टम में जो यूनियन गवर्नमेंट होती है उसी को क्या कहा जाता है, फेडरल गवर्नमेंट, ठीक है। लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द अनदर कॉन्सेप्ट, की फीचर्स ऑफ फेडरलिज्म। Before starting this concept, I would like to tell you an imaginary story. Disclaimer: please don't mind if any one of the 3 names is your name. Alright? So there was a Seth Dhanraj, and he had 2 sons, Umesh and Suresh. And Seth Dhanraj had 3 property A, property B, and property C. Right? So what happened that Seth Dhanraj was suffering from an illness, and there in this story we will consider 3 cases. Case number 1, right, in which Seth Dhanraj died before writing any will, मतलब बिना कोई वसीयत लिखे उनकी मृत्यु हो जाती है। So what will happen that there may be conflicts among the between the Umesh and Suresh for the property distribution. Now consider case number 2. What happened that Seth Dhanraj in this case written a will and also specified that the property A for Umesh, property B for Suresh, and property C for Umesh and Suresh both, because he wanted to distribute the property equally. So he had distributed the property in this manner. But what happened that one day the Umesh went to the local room and tried to override the will. Means he wanted to change the will so that he can acquire the property number C in his name. Okay. So what happened that in this case there may be conflict, and they went to the Sarpanch. Okay. And also there is chances that the Sarpanch, rather than giving justice, may give a biased judgment. So in this case number 2, again there may be conflict. Again there may be in case number 1 there were conflict, and in case number 2 there may be conflict if will is not considered supreme and done changes in it. If अगर कोई will में changes किए जाते हैं तो again वहाँ पे conflict हो सकते हैं, and there may be also conflict if the judiciary is biased and not giving independent judgment. And if Seth Dhanraj wanted that in near future there should not be any conflict between his son over the property distribution, then please tell me that what should Seth Dhanraj do? So what you will do, that as there are 2 sons, so there must be a written will. Okay, means written will with clear specified property distribution. Okay. Right. So what we will say that there are 2 sons, so there must be a written will, and there should be a clear division of property inside the will, and the will should be supreme. The will should be supreme, and there should not be allowing any changes in the property distribution inside the will. I mean there should not be change in the will. If any of the changes required, then such changes should be allowed after having the consent of both the sons, means the Umesh and Suresh, and there should be an independent judiciary, right? तो हम क्या चाहते हैं कि अगर सेठ धनराज अगर चाहते हैं कि कोई भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ना हो तो क्या होना चाहिए, एक 2 सन है तो रिटर्न विल मतलब लिखी हुई वसीयत होना चाहिए, उस वसीयत के अंदर क्लियर प्रॉपर्टी का डिवीजन होना चाहिए, और उस विल को कोई चेंज अकेला नहीं कर ही नहीं सकता, राइट। कोई चेंज अलाउड ना हो उसमें, अगर कोई चेंजेस हो, राइट, तो दोनों की मर्जी से हो वरना ना हो। और ऐसी कोई जुडिशरी होनी चाहिए जो इंडिपेंडेंट हो, बायस ना हो। अगर हम ये स्टोरी समझ में आती है, then we can say that we can understand the key features of federalism. Okay, so in case third, to reduce the conflict, what Seth Dhanraj had done, he had written a bill with clear specified division of property, and there is independent judiciary. So in this case, there is a very less chance that there may be conflict over the property between the Umesh and Suresh. Okay, so please consider Umesh is nothing but the union government, U, and Suresh is nothing but the state government, right? If we can relate, then we can write down the key features of federalism. Okay, you can just repeat with me. Okay, how you will repeat? That if you know this third case is related to the federalism. Okay, so what we will consider here, if there are two sons, so what we will write the first feature we will write that there should be at least two level of government. There should be at least two level of government, right? Second feature is there should be a written will. Okay, तो हम यहाँ पर क्या लिखेंगे, और यहाँ पर will और कुछ नहीं है, written will is nothing but the constitution. So what we will write here, that to resolve the conflict between the union and state government, there must be a written constitution, and that written constitution must be supreme. That written constitution must be considered supreme. Okay. Third, there should be clear division of property. Okay, so what we will write, that the powers of both the level of government should be clearly specified in the Constitution. The power of both the level of government should be clearly specified in the Constitution. We can also write the jurisdiction of both the level of government should be clearly specified in the Constitution. The jurisdiction of taxation, legislation, administration, मतलब कि टैक्स की पावर, लॉ बनाने की पावर, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन करने की पावर जो है वो क्लियरली स्पेसिफाइड होनी चाहिए. ओके, फर्स्ट, सेकंड एंड थर्ड we had written. No change in will. Okay, no change in will, and if any change is required, it required the consent of both the children. Both the children means U and S, means the union and the state government. So what we can write here, that the fundamental provision of the Constitution, the fundamental provision of the Constitution should not be unilaterally means अकेले, changed by any one level of government. Such changes would require the consent मतलब सहमति of both the level of government. Okay, next, there should be an independent judiciary. So we will write here that there should be an independent and powerful judiciary, means the court, to interpret the constitution, जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को इंटरप्रेट करेंगे, टू इंटरप्रेट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन and to resolve the conflicts of over federal issues. Federal issues means the issues between the government. The issues between the government. There may be issue between the central government and state government, and there may be issue between one state government over another state government. Such kind of issues are called federal issues. Alright? और इंटरप्रेट करना मतलब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को पढ़कर समझकर जस्टिस देना. Right? So there should be an independent judiciary which should be powerful, and they had the power to interpret the constitution and to resolve the federal issues. So this is our next topic. What makes India a federal country? The topic holding together federation and coming together federation, we will do it later. Why? Because this topic is very much related with our story, Umesh and Suresh, and the key features of federalism. Right? So the topic is what makes India a federal country, and already we had learned about the key features. Means because India is a federal country, so already whatever are the key features that we had learned earlier, all the features are the minimum features of federalism. So all the features are the part of the Indian constitution and the Indian politics. So India is a federal country. So now we had to prove that what makes India a federal country. If India is a federal country, then definitely India should follow all the key features that we had done earlier, right? So what are the things which make India a federal country? So by giving a proof, we are making answer of this question. So first proof is that India, or in Indian constitution, we have 3-4 distribution of legislative power. Why this is written? Because in the key features of federalism, you had learned that the fundamental provision of the power sharing should be clearly specified in the constitution. Okay, or the jurisdiction of each level of the government. In your book it is written that the jurisdiction of each level of government should be clearly specified in the constitution in terms of taxation, legislation and administration. मतलब कि जो पावर है स्टेट और यूनियन गवर्नमेंट की इन टर्म्स, चाहे बात करें हम टैक्सेशन की, टैक्स कलेक्ट करने की, लॉ बनाने की और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन करने की, वो जो पावर है वो क्लियरली स्पेसिफाइड होना चाहिए. सो लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स मतलब लॉ बनाने से रिलेटेड पावर. सो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज क्लियरली स्पेसिफाइड द लॉ मेकिंग प्रोसीजर एंड द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर ऑफ द यूनियन, स्टेट एंड लोकल गवर्नमेंट. Please remember the property number A, property B and property C. Okay, so here property A means we relate with the story. Property A means the union list, property B state list and property C concurrent list. And if you can recall the story, property A was made for Umesh. Umesh means union government. Okay, property number B was for Suresh, means for state government. And concurrent list means property number C for both union and state, means Umesh and Suresh, right? So we can recall the story and we can again learn this concept that the fundamental 3-4 distribution of legislative power means the constitution has clearly specified the power of union government, state government and local power of both the government. Okay, so union list. So union list is exclusively meant for the union government. Okay, so only union government can make the law. In this list, whatever subjects are mentioned in the union list, only union government can make the law. Okay, so because this was the property of union, right? So only union government can make the laws over the subjects mentioned in the union list. Why only union government? Because the union government is the government at the national level. Hence we can say that the topics or the subjects mentioned here in the union list are of national importance, right? So whatever subjects mentioned in the union list are of national importance. We can give the example. The example like the subjects like defense of the country, currency, banking, foreign affairs, railway, post, telecommunication, etc. Okay, and why these subjects are mentioned in the union list? Because these subjects require uniform policy throughout the country. क्या पढ़ा हमने? That union list वो होती है जिसपे सिर्फ और सिर्फ यूनियन गवर्नमेंट लॉ बना सकती है। और इस लिस्ट के अंदर कौन से सब्जेक्ट होते हैं? इस लिस्ट के अंदर वो सभी सब्जेक्ट होते हैं जो राष्ट्रीय लेवल के, नेशनल लेवल इंपोर्टेंस के होते हैं, जैसे कि डिफेंस ऑफ द कंट्री, देश की सुरक्षा हो गई, करेंसी हो गई, है ना, पैसे हो गए, बैंकिंग हो गई, फॉरेन अफेयर्स मतलब एक कंट्री की दूसरे कंट्री के साथ रिलेशन हो गए, रेलवे हो गया, पोस्ट हो गया, और टेलीकम्युनिकेशन जो नेटवर्क होता है लाइक बीएसएनएल आपने सुना होगा, वो सब को रेगुलेट कौन करता है? यूनियन गवर्नमेंट। ओके, और ये सब्जेक्ट्स पे को व्हाई दिस सब्जेक्ट्स आर मेंशन्ड इन यूनियन लिस्ट, क्योंकि ये सब्जेक्ट यूनियन लिस्ट में क्यों डाला गया? बिकॉज इन सब्जेक्ट्स की रिक्वायर्ड है कि इन पर एक जैसा लॉ पूरी कंट्री में बनाया जाए, और एक जैसा लॉ जो है पूरी कंट्री में सिर्फ एक गवर्नमेंट बना सकती है जिसका नाम है यूनियन गवर्नमेंट। इसलिए इन सब्जेक्ट्स को यहाँ पर मेंशन किया गया यूनियन लिस्ट में। नाउ स्टेट लिस्ट, स्टेट लिस्ट में किसको कौन सा सब्जेक्ट मेंशन किए गए? Subjects mentioned in the state list are of regional importance or state administration। जो subjects यहाँ पर mentioned है वो ऐसे subject है जो कि रीजनल इंपोर्टेंस और स्टेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से रिलेटेड है, इसलिए सिर्फ और सिर्फ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट यहाँ पे लोग बना सकती है। सो ओनली स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कैन मेक द लॉज ओवर द सब्जेक्ट्स मेंशन्ड हियर एंड द सब्जेक्ट्स आर ऑफ स्टेट इंपोर्टेंस और ऑफ रीजनल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, राइट। कौन कौन से सब्जेक्ट हो सकते हैं? जैसे कि हर स्टेट की अपनी पुलिस होती है, राइट, और आप एग्रीकल्चर, लैंड से रिलेटेड इरिगेशन, trade, commerce, etc. So these are the subjects like police, trade, commerce, irrigation, agriculture and land are mentioned in the state list. अब रिकॉल करो प्रॉपर्टी नंबर सी। प्रॉपर्टी नंबर सी में आपने क्या लिखा था कि प्रॉपर्टी नंबर सी जो थी वो दोनों की थी, तो उस सी से है हमारा कंकरेंट लिस्ट। कंकरेंट लिस्ट मतलब जो कि दोनों की है, मतलब दोनों गवर्नमेंट यहाँ पे लॉ बना सकती है। सो बोथ द यूनियन एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कैन मेक द लॉज ओवर द सब्जेक्ट्स मेंशन्ड इन द कंकरेंट लिस्ट। ओके, क्यों बना सकती है दोनों गवर्नमेंट? बिकॉज जो यहाँ पे सब्जेक्ट है वो ऐसे है जो दोनों की जरूरत है, मतलब दोनों यहाँ पे नेशनल इंपोर्टेंस के भी सब्जेक्ट है और स्टेट इंपोर्टेंस के भी यहाँ पे सब्जेक्ट होते हैं। तो सब्जेक्ट्स मेंशन आर ऑफ कॉमन इंटरेस्ट टू द स्टेट एंड द नेशनल गवर्नमेंट। कौन कौन से सब्जेक्ट हो सकते हैं? जैसे कि एजुकेशन, फॉरेस्ट और रिलेशन से रिलेटेड, जैसे कि मैरिज, एडॉप्शन, बच्चों को गोद देना, सक्सेशन, प्रॉपर्टी को ट्रांसफर करना, राइट, ट्रेड यूनियन, ये सब यहाँ पर आते हैं, राइट। मेनली यहाँ पर जो है एजुकेशन एंड फॉरेस्ट यू शुड रिमेंबर बिकॉज दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंट वन। ओके, प्लीज नोट दैट, यहाँ पर एक बात याद रखना है आपको, दैट इन दोनों सरकारें लॉ बना रही है, बोथ द गवर्नमेंट आर मेकिंग द लॉज ओवर हियर, तो देयर आर चांसेस और पॉसिबिलिटीज दैट बोथ द लॉज में हैव कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, है ना। रिमेंबर माय वर्ड, बोथ द लॉज ओवर द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, है ना, ध्यान रखना, लॉज लिखा है यहाँ पर। सो क्या कहा हमने? दैट इन केस ऑफ एनी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ओवर एनी पर्टिकुलर इशू और एनी पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट, because both the government are making law here, so in case of any conflict between the union and the state law, तो ऐसे केस में यहाँ पर कोर्ट का इंटरफियर नहीं होगा। यहाँ पे लॉ लिखा है, यहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट ने लिखा है। अगर गवर्नमेंट लिखा होता तो फेडरल इश्यूज कहलाता है। यहाँ पर लिखा है that in case of any conflict between the union law and the state law, right, then the law made by the union government will automatically prevail। कहने का मतलब कि जो यूनियन गवर्नमेंट ने लॉ बनाया है वही माना जाएगा, है ना। यहाँ पर बात हो रही है कि दोनों लॉ क्लैशेस हो रहे हैं किसी पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर, देन ऑटोमेटिकली यूनियन लॉ में जो बात कही गई है उसे माना जाएगा। Okay, so this is the threefold distribution of legislative power which is clearly specified in the constitution, so these make India a federal country। इसके अलावा एक और लिस्ट होती है सब्सिडियरी लिस्ट, जिसके बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे। Apart from the three lists, one more list has been mentioned in the Indian constitution for residuary subjects. Hence, it is called as the residuary list. Sometimes it is also called as the subsidiary list. So, this list has been made for those subjects which were not present at the time of making of Constitution. ये लिस्ट उन सब्जेक्ट के लिए है जो संविधान बनते वक्त मतलब 1950s में प्रेजेंट नहीं हुआ करते थे. Hence, the constitution makers of India had made a provision that such subjects may be included in the Indian Constitution in the residuary list. So the subjects which are not present at the time of making of Indian Constitution are the part of the residuary list. Example, कौन-कौन से example हो सकते हैं like computer software, cyber crime, cyber security, etc. Such subjects may be of emergency nature. ऐसा हो सकता है कि ऐसे subjects जो है emergency नेचर के हो सकते हैं. Hence required uniform policy throughout the country. इसलिए ऐसे सब्जेक्ट्स के लिए पूरे देश में एक जैसी यूनिफॉर्म पॉलिसी की जरूरत होती है. एंड यू नो दैट इफ द entire country required the uniform policy over any subject, then only one government can make the law, which is of national level, and national level government is called union government. Hence, the subjects which are mentioned in the residuary list, such subjects can over the such subjects only union government can make the law. Okay. This is the second feature which make India a federal country. Indian federalism is the part of the basic structure of Indian Constitution. What is basic structure? Basic structure means which is the fundamental in nature, means which cannot be changed very easily. Okay, please remember the key features of federalism where we had written that the fundamental provision of the constitution should not be changed unilaterally by any one level of government, and if such changes would required, then the such changes would require the consent of both the level of government. Okay, so the fundamental provision है वो कोई एक गवर्नमेंट अकेले चेंज नहीं कर सकती. ऐसे चेंजेस को करने के लिए दोनों गवर्नमेंट की सहमति की जरूरत होती है, मतलब यूनियन गवर्नमेंट की भी और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की. Okay, so Indian federalism is the basic structure, means the fundamental of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so the power sharing arrangement means the Indian federal structure between the union government and the state government cannot be unilaterally changed by any one level of government. So what has been written here, that Indian federalism is the basic structure, means the power sharing arrangement between the union government and the state government is basic, fundamental to the structure of Indian Constitution. Any such change, okay, any such change cannot be done alone by the parliament. Means the parliament मतलब union government का phase. Okay, the parliament cannot change the this power sharing arrangement unilaterally, means alone parliament cannot change. Any such change has to be first by both the houses of the parliament. जो अगर ऐसे कोई चेंज की जरूरत पड़ती भी है तो इसमें दोनों की सहमति होगी और एक कैसे पास होगा. Any such change should be first passed by the parliament in both the houses. You know that the parliament has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So any such a change would have to be passed in both the houses of the parliament with special majority. Simple majority नहीं लिखा. Simple majority simply means 50%. You know that simple majority कितना होता है? जो आप सिंपली देखते हो वो होती 50%. ओके, बट यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? स्पेशल मेजोरिटी. और स्पेशल मेजोरिटी मींस कितना परसेंट? एटलीस्ट 2/3 मेजोरिटी. सो व्हाट इज स्पेशल मेजोरिटी? स्पेशल मेजोरिटी. ओके, स्पेशल मेजोरिटी मींस हाउ मच इज 10? 2/3. परसेंटेज वाइज 66.66%. Okay, this is 50% and this is 66.66%, which is more tough to achieve. This one is special majority. So it has been written that any such change has to be first passed by the parliament in both the houses of the parliament with special majority. Okay, special majority. And after passing in the parliament in both the houses, such changes has to be ratified at least by the half of the state legislature. कि पार्लियामेंट के बाद में इसको पार्लियामेंट जब इसको पास कर दे उसके बाद में हाफ ऑफ द इंडियन स्टेट्स या हाफ ऑफ द टोटल स्टेट्स कि टोटल स्टेट्स के आधे स्टेट्स के जो लेजिस्लेचर है, मतलब जो स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली जिन्हें हम विधानसभा भी कहते हैं, तो 50% हाफ ऑफ द स्टेट्स मिनिमम उस पर्टिकुलर चेंज को अप्रूव करना चाहिए। तो हाफ मतलब कितना है, टोटल कितने स्टेट्स है इंडिया में, 28 स्टेट्स, और 28 स्टेट्स का हाफ कितना हो गया, 14 स्टेट्स। मतलब ऐसा जो चेंज जो पार्लियामेंट ने किया है वो मिनिमम 14 स्टेट्स के लेजिस्लेचर में अप्रूव होना चाहिए। अप्रूव होना चाहिए मतलब क्या होना चाहिए, रेटिफाइड होना चाहिए। ओके, तो यहाँ पर हो गई बात पूरी, दैट बोथ सच चेंजेस वुड रिक्वायर कंसेंट ऑफ बोथ द लेवल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, मतलब यूनियन गवर्नमेंट पार्लियामेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट मींस स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली। अगेन रिकॉल दैट such changes would require both the level of consent of both the level of government, means that any change to it has to be first passed by the parliament in both the houses with special majority. Then after passing by the parliament, such changes again has to be ratified, means approved by 50% of the total states minimum, means at least 50%, half of the states should approve, means the ratify such changes, and 50% states means 14 states has to ratify such changes which is done by the parliament, so which is not very easy. Okay, and because it is not very easy, hence we can say that Indian federalism is the part of the basic structure of the Indian constitution, which make India a federal country. The powerful and independent judiciary is the third feature which make India a federal country. Okay, so we know that in the key features of federalism we had learned that there must be an independent and powerful judiciary which play an important role to resolve the federal dispute, as well as the judiciary must play an important role in interpreting the constitution. Okay, so what has been written here, that the Supreme Court here act as a umpire, means its decision is final over the federal disputes. What are the federal disputes? The disputes between the government, maybe the government at central level and state level, or there may be the disputes over the different state government. Okay, so the decision of the Supreme Court is final over the federal dispute. Okay, Supreme Court acts as an umpire here, and courts see that the provision of the Indian constitutions are properly implemented or not, right? And court have the power to interpret the constitution, means interpret का मतलब that whatever has been written in the constitution, from case to case, what is the meaning of that particular line or particular provision written in the constitution. मतलब संविधान के अंदर जो भी लिखा है वो केस के अकॉर्डिंग जुडिशरी के पास अधिकार है कि उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजन का मतलब होगा क्या, right? So court has the power to interpret the constitution. So finally we can conclude that because Indian judiciary is an independent and powerful judiciary which make India a federal country. So this is the third feature, India powerful and independent judiciary which make India a federal country. So in this way we had completed the theoretical aspect which make India a federal country. So this is our next topic in the form of a question: what are the different ways or rules for achieving federation? Okay, so before we discuss this topic in depth, we have to remember some key points, that no country is absolute federal or no country is absolute federal system. मतलब ना तो कोई कंट्री पूरी तरीके से यूनिटरी सिस्टम को फॉलो करती है और ना ही कोई कंट्री पूरी तरीके से फेडरल सिस्टम को फॉलो करती है. द बैलेंस मींस द डिग्री ऑफ फेडरेशन वेरीज फ्रॉम वन कंट्री टू अनदर. डिग्री ऑफ फेडरेशन मतलब पावर शेयरिंग अरेंजमेंट. ये जो पावर शेयरिंग अरेंजमेंट है इसका जो बैलेंस है, ओके, ये हर कंट्री का वरी करता है. ओके, दिस पावर शेयरिंग अरेंजमेंट मींस द बैलेंस ऑफ पावर शेयरिंग वेरीज फ्रॉम वन कंट्री टू अनदर. This balance depends mainly on the historical situation in which the country was emerging as a federal country. Mainly अगर बात करें इसके वरी होने का कारण, तो डिपेंड करता है कि हिस्ट्री में, इतिहास में वो कंट्री जब इमर्ज हो रही थी फेडरल कंट्री के रूप में, तब उसकी कंडीशन क्या थी. So it mainly depends on the historical situation when the country was emerging as an independent federal country, right? इंडिया ऑल्सो फेस अ ब्लडी पार्टीशन इन द हिस्ट्री में देखें तो इंडिया ने भी क्या किया, ब्लडी और पेनफुल पार्टीशन फेस किया है, राइट? सो व्हेन इट वाज इमर्जिंग एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री. आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस मेनी प्रिंसली स्टेट जॉइन इंडिया। जब इंडिया इंडिपेंडेंट हुआ तब उस समय बहुत सारे प्रिंसली स्टेट्स ने किसको ज्वाइन किया? इंडिया को ज्वाइन किया। एंड टू अवॉइड सच ब्लडी पार्टीशन इन द फ्यूचर, ऐसे ब्लडी पार्टीशन को फ्यूचर में अवॉइड करने के लिए ओके इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डिक्लेयर इंडिया एज ए यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट। ओके ऐसे पार्टीशन को रोकने के लिए इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इंडिया को क्या डिक्लेयर करता है, क्या डिस्क्राइब करता है? एज ए यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स। कहीं पर भी फेडरल डिस्क्राइब नहीं किया गया है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर, एवं वर्ड भी मेंशन नहीं किया गया। Okay, so the Indian Constitution did not use the word federation anywhere to describe India. कि इंडिया को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए कहीं पर भी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में फेडरल वर्ड का डिस्क्राइब नहीं किया है। So the Indian Constitution did not use the word federal to describe India, rather it described India as a union of states. जो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है वो इंडिया को क्या डिस्क्राइब करता है? यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स। Now हम इस क्वेश्चन का जवाब देते हैं। We will give the answer of this question. What are the different ways or the routes of achieving the federation? So there are two ways of achieving the federation. The first one is the coming together federation, and the second one is the holding together federation. Let's see the difference between both of them. So this is the difference between coming together federation and the holding together federation. First, learn the example of coming together federation. Hint is USA. Full form is USA, Switzerland, Australia, and remember the example of holding together federation by the hint SBI. SBI means Spain, Belgium, and India. So India is a holding together federation. Now come to the topic that when the independent states come together to form a bigger unit. मतलब छोटे छोटे इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट्स जो अपने आप में इंडिपेंडेंट है, अलग है, जब वो साथ में मिलकर एक बड़ी यूनिट बनाने के लिए आते हैं ताकि वो अपनी सिक्योरिटी को इनहांस कर पाए, इंप्रूव कर पाए, बढ़ा पाए। So when independent states come together to form a bigger unit to increase their security, such concept is called coming together federation. क्योंकि holding together में ऐसा नहीं होता। holding together में कहा गया है that when a bigger unit divide its power. Okay, when a bigger unit divide its power among different constitute states and the national government, it is called as the holding together federation. जब एक बड़ी कंट्री अपनी पावर को डिवाइड करती है नेशनल गवर्नमेंट और छोटे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के बीच में, उसको हम बोलते हैं होल्डिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन। एग्जांपल यू नो यूएसए, स्विट्जरलैंड, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, एंड एग्जांपल यू नो स्पेन, बेल्जियम एंड इंडिया। ओके, इसकी खास बात क्या है? दैट नेशनल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, ओके, नेशनल लेवल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट आर इक्वल means they have equal powers, means the national government और नेशनल गवर्नमेंट को क्या कहते हैं हम? फेडरल गवर्नमेंट। सो द नेशनल गवर्नमेंट मींस द फेडरल गवर्नमेंट एंड द स्टेट्स हैव इक्वल पावर्स, बट हियर व्हाट हैपेंस दैट द नेशनल गवर्नमेंट इज मोर पावरफुल एज कंपेयर्ड टू द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट। यहाँ पर नेशनल गवर्नमेंट ज्यादा पावरफुल होती है एज कंपेयर्ड टू द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट। ओके, ये तो कंपैरिजन हुआ नेशनल वर्सेस स्टेट गवर्नमेंट। नाउ कंपेयर ऑल द स्टेट्स। ओके, सो ऑल द स्टेट्स यूजुअली हैव इक्वल पावर्स इन द कमिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन, बट इन होल्डिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन all the states do not have equal powers. Some states have less powers and some states has been given special powers. Okay, so all the constituent states do not have equal powers. Some states are given special status and special powers due to their peculiar social and historical circumstances. Because of their strange historical circumstances, to save their culture, land, etc., they had been given special status. Example, Article 371 of the Indian Constitution, which given special status to Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh. मतलब आर्टिकल 371 जो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, वो कुछ नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स है जैसे कि आसाम, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, मिजोरम, नागालैंड, इनको स्पेशल स्टेटस प्रोवाइड करता है। सो हियर ऑल द स्टेट्स डू नॉट हैव इक्वल पावर्स। Alright, so this is the major difference between the coming together federation and the holding together federation, right? And India is a holding together federation. So please remember this point that India is a holding together federation, and here the national government is more powerful as compared to the state government, and all the states do not have equal powers. Some states are given special status. So this is the major difference. This is the next topic in the list. India, a quasi-federal country. Generally, this question asked in many ways. Prove that India is a quasi-federal country. Prove that India is a centralized federal country. Prove that India as a unitary biased country. Okay, see all these terms are similar: centralized federal, unitary biased, or quasi federal. Then come to the answer. Why India is called a quasi federal country? Because of the following reason. We had already learned about that, but we are discussing again. Okay, so that this question will get covered. As you know about the holding together federation, first of all understand what is a quasi-federal country. Quasi-federal country is a country where the union government is more powerful as compared to the state government. Okay, no doubt India is a federal country. India is completely a federal country because it follows all the key features mentioned in your book, right? So any country following all the key features means it is a federal country. But now it is not about the federal, it is a quasi-federal. Quasi-federal means a federal country where the central government is more powerful as compared to the state government. Okay, so now we are proving that India is a quasi-federal country. Means in India, the central government is more powerful as compared to the state government. So the first proof is the holding together federation, and you know that being a holding together federation, central government tends to be more powerful as compared to the state government. Okay, क्योंकि इंडिया होल्डिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन है, इसलिए यहाँ पर जो नेशनल गवर्नमेंट है वो ज्यादा पावरफुल होती है एज कम्पेयर टू द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. द सेकेंड वन proof is the concurrent list. You know that in concurrent list means the subjects or the subjects which are mentioned in the concurrent list, both the government can make the law. Means the state government and the union government, both the government can make the law. But if any clashes occurs between the union law and the state law, if any conflict arises between the union and state law, then automatically which law will prevail? Only union law will prevail. बस union law को माना जाएगा जो भी clashes होते हैं तो. Right? Third आता है residuary subjects. You had learned that the only union government has the power to make laws over the residuary subjects. So again we are making union government more powerful, or we are giving more preference to the union government in concurrent list as well as in the residuary list. And the last one is the emergency powers with the president. Means when the emergency power is being utilized or when the emergency is imposed in the country, जब देश में emergency लगती है, then the Indian Federation turn into a unitary system. जो Indian Federal System है वो पूरी तरीके से convert हो जाता है time में unitary system में. So there are some proof which make India a quasi-federal country, centralized federal country, and unitary biased country. Okay. This is our last topic: decentralization in India. By definition, when power is taken away from national government and state government and given to the local government, it is called as the decentralization. Decentralization means विकेंद्रीकरण. जब नेशनल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पावर लेकर एक और थर्ड लेवल की जो गवर्नमेंट है उसको पावर दे दी जाती है, ओके, ताकि डेमोक्रेसी को और मजबूत किया जाए, इट इज कॉल्ड एज द डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. ओके, why we need decentralization in India, right? Because in terms of area, India is a very vast country. India की बात करें तो India is a vast country. Okay, also the states of India, some states are more vast than the European countries, and even population wise, okay, some states are bigger than the European countries. Like if you talk that population wise, Uttar Pradesh has larger population than Russia, and also the Maharashtra is as big as I think Germany. Okay, here is the Germany. Okay, you know that the population of Uttar Pradesh is near about 20 crore and Maharashtra is 10 crore. Okay, so which are bigger than the many European states. So such a big population and the huge size, okay, require India, okay, to have a third level of government, and that is the local government. इसलिए हमको एक और थर्ड लेवल की गवर्नमेंट की नीड पड़ी जिसको हम बोलते हैं लोकल गवर्नमेंट. सो दिस वास्टनेस ऑफ इंडिया क्रिएटेड a need of the third tier of government, which is called as the local government. So now we have union government for the national level, state government for the state level, and local government at the local level. You had seen that in urban area you had seen about the municipality, nagar palika, nagar nigam, and in rural area you know about the पंचायत, है ना. तो लोकल लेवल मतलब कि छोटे छोटे वार्ड्स में जो है वहाँ पर इलेक्शन होते हैं और वहाँ पे जो लोकल मेंबर होता है वही इलेक्शन पार्टिसिपेट करता है और लोग लोकल लेवल ही उनको वोट देते हैं. ओके, दिस इज द लोकल गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है. सो व्हाट इज द रेशनल मींस व्हाट इज द आइडिया बिहाइंड दिस डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन? ये लोकल गवर्नमेंट लाने का और उसको पावर देने का क्या कॉन्सेप्ट है, राइट? बिकॉज लोकल इश्यूज कैन बी सोल्व बेटर एट द लोकल लेवल। जो लोकल इश्यूज है वो बेटर लोकल लेवल पे ज्यादा अच्छे से सॉल्व हो सकते हैं, और जो लोकल पीपल होते हैं उनको अपनी लोकेलिटी का बेटर नॉलेज भी होता है, राइट। सो लोकल पीपल हैव द बेटर नॉलेज ऑफ देयर लोकेलिटीज, okay, they also have the better ideas where to invest money, okay, with the granted money or the resources, and how to manage the things efficiently। जो local people होते हैं उनको पता होता है कि जो resources है, जो things है, वो कैसे efficient manage करना है, right। So also possibility for the people to directly participate in decision making, कि जो वहाँ की local area के जो लोग हैं जब वो election में participate करेंगे, right, तो उस local issues जो है वहाँ पर भी वो अपने decision जो है सुना पाएंगे। कहने का मतलब है कि जो डिसीजन मेकिंग प्रोसेस है लोकल एरियाज की, वहाँ पर वो पार्टिसिपेट कर पाएंगे, राइट। और अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स को अपने जो लोकल लीडर्स होंगे, चाहे म्युनिसिपैलिटी के लोकल लीडर्स हो, है ना, और पंचायत के जो पंच सरपंच हो, उनसे अपनी इश्यूज को बात भी कर पाए, इश्यूज भी डिस्कस कर पाएंगे, राइट। So the possibility for the people to directly participate in the decision making। तो ये रहा हमारा लोकल गवर्नमेंट। तो effective decentralization in India, but before that we must know what are the problems in the local government. Before 1992, there were many challenges in the local government and the local level bodies, because the local government were directly under the control of the state government, because the local government comes under the state list. So these local government were directly comes under the state government, because they were directly comes under the state government. So the state government do not give many powers and revenue resources to the local government, because they did not wanted to share as much their power and revenue to the local government. So there are many challenges at the local government, right। First, election to this local government not conducted regularly। यहाँ के जो elections थे वो regular conduct नहीं किए जाते थे। Sometimes in that elections were conducted, elections were postponed, okay। So elections जो थे local government के वो directly conduct नहीं कराए जाते थे। Interference of the state officials in the local government, जो state level के जो officers है उनका interfere करना local government में। फाइनेंशियली डिपेंडेंट होते स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट थी वो फाइनेंशियली किस पे डिपेंडेंट हुआ करती थी, लोकल स्टेट गवर्नमेंट पे, बिकॉज दे डू नॉट हैव देयर ओन पावर्स एंड रेवेन्यू रिसोर्सेज। क्योंकि लोकल गवर्नमेंट का अपना कोई फिक्स्ड रेवेन्यू रिसोर्सेज और पावर नहीं हुआ करती थी, hence they were totally dependent on the state government, and because of that there were many challenges। So in 1992 इंडिया had a need for more effective decentralization। इंडिया में नीड हुई कि हमको और भी ज्यादा अच्छे से डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन करने की जरूरत होगी, एंड फॉर दैट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वाज अमेंडेड, और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को अमेंडमेंट किया गया और उसमें कुछ 73rd और 74th अमेंडमेंट को जोड़ा गया, राइट। एंड बाय अमेंडिंग द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, okay, necessary steps were taken for effective decentralization in India to make the local government more effective। और local government को और अच्छा effective बनाने के लिए संविधान को amendment किया गया कब, 1992 में। So what were the outcomes of this amendment, okay, of 1992? First one is, now it is constitutionally compulsory, mandatory to conduct regular elections at the local level bodies। जो local level bodies है, मतलब पंचायत और municipalities के elections जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली कंपलसरी कर दिया गया कि रेगुलर इलेक्शन वहाँ पे होना चाहिए आफ्टर एवरी 5 years, राइट। और इसके लिए पर्टिकुलरली पंचायत और म्युनिसिपैलिटी इलेक्शंस कंडक्ट कराने के लिए हर स्टेट में क्या बनाया गया, इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशन। जैसे इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया होता है, वैसे हर स्टेट में स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशंस बनाए गए जो पर्टिकुलरली पंचायत और म्युनिसिपैलिटीज के इलेक्शंस को कंडक्ट कराने के लिए रिस्पांसिबल थे। सो इन एवरी स्टेट, इन ईच स्टेट इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशंस वर सेट अप, okay, for responsible for conducting free, fair and regular elections at the panchayat and the municipalities, okay। So this independent state election is responsible for conducting free, fair, regular election for the panchayat and municipalities। The state government are required to share some powers and revenue with the local government। Now it is compulsory for every state to share some powers and some revenue resources with the local government, and at least 1/3 seats of are reserved for the women applicants। जो इनमें जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट बॉडीज हुआ करती थी, पंचायत और म्युनिसिपैलिटीज, इसमें से 1/3 जो इलेक्टेड सीट्स थी वो किसके लिए रिजर्व थी, महिलाओं के लिए ही रिजर्व थी। एंड सम सीट्स वर आल्सो रिजर्व फॉर एट द इलेक्टेड बॉडीज फॉर द कम्युनिटीज, लाइक फॉर द मेंबर्स ऑफ द कम्युनिटीज ऑफ शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब्स, शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट एंड अदर बैकवर्ड क्लासेस। सो इन दिस वे a more fair representation of the women and SC member of SC, ST and OBCs were given in this local government। So In this day, we had completed the topic of decentralization in India and the major steps for making decentralization more effective in 1992. Finally, the major concept of this chapter has been over and the remaining concept we will do later. So I hope आपको समझ में आया होगा कि पूरा चैप्टर फेडरलिज्म क्या होता है, राइट, डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन क्या होता है। तो इसी तरीके से ये चैप्टर खत्म होता है। जय हिंद, जय भारत, वंदे मातरम।